Alright, so I'm just going to make a short video here on installing the VersaTrax OneTrax in the bed of a Toyota Tundra. This truck has a factory bed liner in it. Real quick, part of the reason why I'm installing this, these tie downs here are a little too high to make sure something's strapped down to the bed. Also, they really flex a lot when you put some tension on them. But these VersaTrax OneTrax are mounted directly to the frame of the truck through the bed bolts. When you get them, you'll get this puck, the bolts, and an L-track tie down. They also are really nice, and they include a T50 bit for removing or installing these new bolts because they're T50. Your Toyota Tundra has T55s. What you'll need for the install for this is a breaker bar or ratchet. I'd use a breaker to break these bolts free depending on if you're in a rust area or not. Ratchet and a torque wrench that's good for 55 inch-pounds. I'm using a CDI here. So the first thing I do on these when I was getting the bed liner off is I take my box knife and I just go around the base of the washer here really carefully and just cut all the way around. I also go around the head of the bolt so it'll turn on its own. And then I cut a box shape on the top here. And then I already did it, so I didn't have to do it on the video. But that box shape helps me break the bed liner free off the nut, because you'll notice this T55 doesn't fit in there with the bed liner on it. So my trick, you also need a pick for this. I use this guy right here. So my trick is to take that T55, just line it up with the points in the bolt head here, make sure they're lined up, and then take a hammer and just give it a few taps after you cut that box on there. This will just loosen the bed liner up. You don't have to beat on it. And then take the pick. You see how that's coming off? That's part of it's because I already cut it. But you should take the pick and you work around. I need to give it a little bit more here because it didn't break through on the hex points. And again, I'm not beating on this that hard. So you'll see the bed liner in there start to deform. That's when you know you're good to start pulling. And watch yourself with sharp tools. You don't want to stab yourself in the hand or something. So I've got a chunk of this out. I'm trying to get this piece out of the bottom here. And it's starting to go. There we go. And look at that, it all came out in one big chunk. There it is. There's the bottom part of it. So like I said, I already cut around the washer here. So my next step is to take the breaker bar and my T55, and I will break this bolt loose. Now I don't live in a rusty area, so I don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. So they've just been coming off for me. I've done 3 of them already. I'm replacing all 6 bed bolts on my truck, so I want to be able to tie stuff down securely. Now I'm gonna use a tool you probably shouldn't use for this, but it's convenient and I'm lazy. This is a Milwaukee 3/8 drive mini impact. I've already broken the bolt free, so I'm not using a whole heck of a lot of torque on it. You do not want to use an impact on this, just in case you didn't get all the bed liner free. It could just cause you some issues. And plus these bits are not impact rated. This is just for once I've broken the bolt free. And I'm getting just a little bit. You see that washer start to lift. What I would do is come around with the pick. And if you can't pry it with the pick, that means you got to do a little more cutting. There you go, because you don't want to tear your bed liner off the bed of the truck, right? So now that's free. Just gonna finish getting out of it, just like that. So that bolt's free, and here's the cool part: is these bed bolts, you can save them. Just peel off the rest of the bed liner, and it'll be like you have your bed liner sprayed in without the bed bolts being covered. So if you wanted to replace these in the near future. So that will bring me to my one concern with this setup. I don't know, I'm not an engineer. This puck here sits on top of the bed liner and doesn't hit the sheet metal. I don't know if that's going to cause an issue or not. It seems to spread the load out pretty far, so maybe it'll be fine. I don't know, we'll find out. I guess I'm going to run all 6 bolts replaced with them. So the next step with this is to assemble your parts. So you got this little spacer doodad here, and then the bolt. What you do is you put this in, and you get your T50, and I just hand thread it in here. If you want to do it quick, you can use a cool tool. Got this ratchet right here, Milwaukee M12 ratchet, pretty sweet. saves you a lot of time. So you want to do for that spacer, I'm sorry, the sun is all wrong for this. You see there's this notch in the bolt here. This spacer just drops in right there. It's hard to do this while holding the camera like that. So at this point, you want to make sure it's lined up where you want it. And you want these L-tracks for the loads. The load needs to pull against this right here. You don't want it to pull forward. And I'm going to be strapping these side to side, so this is where I want them. So I'm just going to run this down. So, and this guy here only does like 35 foot-pounds. So the final piece of this installation is to take a torque wrench set to 55 foot-pounds and just get to torquing. And now you notice I'm holding this here, but I'm not putting any pressure on it because on this torque wrench, you have to be at the handle. I'm just keeping the Torx bit in the bolt. All my pressure's coming from the handle. Give it one more check. There we go, we're at 55 inch-pounds or foot-pounds. So, like I said, this is with this L-track. Super easy to install them. Like so, strap it across like that. Have a secure way of tying stuff down to your bed without having to worry about, I don't know, pulling out the factory anchors. And the bed rail tie downs on these are honestly worthless unless you're tying down a load taller than the bed of the truck. I don't have the bed rails in my truck and I don't really miss them, to be honest. Yeah, so super simple. Each bolt takes about 5 minutes tops, maybe, if you're spending your time. Other thing I'd suggest, like I'm doing the one here at the back for demonstration purposes, but if you're doing the ones in the front of the bed, throw some cardboard down. It's hot out here today, so the bed liner's getting pretty warm, and bed liner's a little rough on the knees, so some cardboard will help out with your installation. If you're in a rusty area and the bolts are stuck, I can't help you. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have a solution, but I'm sure somebody else does. Hopefully this video is helpful to somebody. I will post an update review after I've used these for a while.